To you. I'd like to start off by saying, and I told Chuck in the hallway that my students were very impressed today that I was introducing him. I have gained a little bit more stature. I just want to say a few things quickly and then bring him up here to talk to you. I'd like to contextualize this just for a few minutes. I teach a course called Blues as Literature, and I guess Lincoln Beauchamp is here, and I guess that's his territory, but I guess we'll share it, if you don't mind. And another course called The Slave Narrative is Documentary. And in both of these courses, it gets to what we were talking about regarding the ring shout. The ring shout is a matrix for the blues, and on and on and on, and how the blues creates an American narrative that's really not fully told. And here in this symposium, I hope that you avail yourselves of some of the nuances of that narrative. The intersections between hip-hop and blues is well known, and people have been writing about it for a time. And if you haven't read some of these people, I think that you should. Well, should is a bad word, but you might want to order. People like Trisha Rose in her two books about hip-hop. Murray Foreman has written a stunning book, a powerful book called The Hood Comes First. Of course, Kitwana Katara Kitwana, am I getting it right? It's like white kids love the blues, love hip hop, and his first book, Bees, Baps, Bohos, and something else, right? There's a legion of scholarship about the convergence between blues and hip hop, and I really encourage you to go out and look for it. Chuck D is the founder of Public Enemy, host of Air America on the Real with Chuck D, an accomplished cultural commentator with musical insights that span blues through hip hop. Best known as leader and co-founder of the legendary rap group Public Enemy, and I asked him out in the hallway, I was expecting to see Flav, and he told me that he wasn't married to him. But I read somewhere that, he says, well, that Flav is just a cup of sugar, and there are 2 cups of sugar. I guess they tell you about that. Yeah. Clean that up for me. Chuck D refined rap music and hip-hop culture with the release of Public Enemy's debut album, Yo Bum Rush the Show, in 1987. One of Ebony Magazine's 10 most influential Black Americans and Rolling Stone's 50 most important performers in rock and roll history. Chuck D is a voice for insight on technology, politics, music, and race in America, bringing a sophisticated knowledge and understanding to the intersection of popular culture and politics. Chuck D paired with Marshall Chess, son of label owner Leonard Chess, to connect the blues legacy with hip-hop in the Mark Levin film, Godfathers and Sons, one of the 7-part film series, The Blues, a musical journey produced by Martin Scorsese for PBS in 2002. There are many other things that we could say that are too legion. It would take up more time. So put your hands together, folks, and bring up Chuck D. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for that, Dr. Bailey. He did meet me in the hallway, and he was like, I expected to see Flavor with you, and I told him, I said, we're not married. Although we just got back from Spain, and we're working on our 70th world tour over the 22-year period, no, 23-year period. So 70 world tours and 23 years, so we're not really spring chickens. I mean, I'm represented by the black and silver. Like, really? You don't get this, like, you gotta earn it. And which brings me to the discussion about what's going on right here in Chicago, and what's going on this great university campus, which I think is so beautiful. I admire architecture. I grew up as an architectural student in high school in Long Island, and I'm looking at the buildings on this campus, the old one and the new one, and the blending of the old and the new, and I'm saying, wow, and this is pretty much atypical about, the musics, because the blending of the old and the new, you can't have anything new without the understanding of the foundation of old. So being, and old is not a bad word. I don't know what this, say their age, like, well, I don't want to tell you how old I am. You are what you are. Matter of fact, there's a time that's more of a foundational time if we pay attention to it, that praises every year that you live. And the older you are, people should be like envious about that, as opposed to saying what kind of car you got, what kind of jewelry you're wearing, or how you live or whatever. It's like, wow, you're 89 years old? Damn, I'm jealous. God has graced you 89 years. I mean, you can't buy life. Although people think that they can go out there and purchase, being 100 years old. And so, my thing is to have conversation and vibe sessions as opposed to a lecture, and especially in this regard, because a big respect goes to Dominican University, a big respect goes to the list. I hope your birthday was really popping yesterday. Thank Dr. Bailey again. So no, I didn't have flavor with me, and sometimes people expect me to pull them out of my back pocket, like, yeah, boy. And then you got to understand today's media is where you find it, because media, if you just sit and expect things to come to you like maybe 25 to 30 years ago when you had 7 to 5 stations, 7 in major cities, 3 in some minor cities and towns. And you expected all the news to come to you in the form of a newspaper, in the form of a couple of radio stations, and in the form of a television network coming to you with the news, then you would have no other choice but to be a robot. If you were told that you had no history, then you believe, oh, you ain't got no history. And this is some of the problems of the previous century, that now the accessibility to information, content, history, whether it be music, film, or whatever, it is of major importance to let none of these stories be forgotten. I felt I was amongst royalty yesterday, and I was. The Dixon family, Coco Taylor family, Howlin' Wolf family, Hubert Sumlin, where we were kicking it, and I'm saying, it's important for me to take not just what he says to me, but his energy from a time. The whole thing about stories, sometimes the stories that are not being told, you feel and you kind of absorb them, almost like a griot, and you got to be able to take that energy from the old and pass it on to the new. Like I said, the new got to prove itself before it get old. So old should have a ring around it like, yeah. New, anything will be new. Anything new. You go to the bathroom and you do what your body do, that's new. Just because it's new don't mean that it's great or fantastic. So I give you some perspective in Chicago, because I'm a sports fan as much as I call myself a fan of culture. And the beautiful thing about culture brings the human race together as one for our similarities and knocks all the differences out of the way. It's a different thing from governments, which kind of like want to segregate people, separate people, what's your size, what's your race, what's your, and they want to categorize you, so at the end of the day they can control you. I know this is a personal opinion, so I'll leave that to the side or whatever, but culture allows everybody to come into the same space and share, and you know what, if you close your eyes, you can still share the same energy, and everybody's equal. It's a beautiful thing about culture, and that's why I love it. That's why I love the music. That's why, at its truest form, I dig it, because it's giving me so much life and energy, and I have to have that to be able to talk to somebody that's more than half my age and be able to get something across to them that makes them feel like, yeah, that's interesting, that's popular, yeah, that's cool. And you have to have the energy. Because the young people automatically got the energy. Teachers are not being rewarded today. Professors are not being rewarded today for being able to supplement and handle the fact that they're teaching a mass audience that's being programmed, and they're trying to break through that by being interactive. So coming around full circle just with that conversation, that people who expect news to come to you, then you will be told what it is, and therefore you will never understand, like, well, Public Enemy is on tour now. Oh, wow, I didn't know that Chuck and Flavor still together. Last thing I saw is Flavor on the TV station, you know, a whole bunch of women. And when was that filmed? I don't know. It was like filmed like, I saw it yesterday. You saw it yesterday, but it was filmed 3 years ago. Oh. So, yeah, I said, in reality, we just got back from Spain. Now, you could probably check it on the internet, but it would take an effort to check it out and to have the facts and be able to kick the facts. But, you know, if you don't make the effort, then you will thus be programmed like a robot. Bringing us full forward to culture, the other thing I grew up with that I dig a whole lot, I dig the sports world. Because sports will make sure, in order to sell you a future, they're going to totally bring you the past and sell you the past over and over again. Chicago Blackhawks hockey team wins a championship in Chicago. First championship since 1961. So you know every Chicago Blackhawk fan for the last, well, I was born in 1960. So it's easy for me to guess the years. That's 48 years, right? 49 years, because I'll be 50 this year. You know, Blackhawks, 1961. Every Blackhawk fan has 1961 in their head. Matter of fact, and every player that came along, they're like, man, this one was for Stan Mikita. This one was for Bobby Hull, and so on and so on and so on. They know the names, they know the years, they know the critical losses. They know the fans know everything about things before they were even born. This Blackhawk fans that's 16 years old that know what happened in 1963. What happened in 1964? What happened in that year in 1961 when they did win? Because sports don't allow you to go around ignorant and just kicking the facts. They will sell you the history over and over again, all the way till you think something's new and you calling it a throwback. In this city, unfortunately, we have a serious situation with young people killing each other, and that has been a trend that's been going on in this city. It ain't no like a millennium thing. It ain't even like just, you know, you could go back in the 80s where once again you got guns and drugs coming into the black neighborhood by some reason. And if you take guns and drugs, put it in the black neighborhood, all that guns and drugs kind of been there, but now we're going to infiltrate that whole thing. And then also you take things away, like take away a history, make new always seem attractive. Oh, it's new, it's new, it's new. Or oh yeah, my grandmama and them music blues. No, my grandmama is like 239 something. Her favorite music is some old rap. Grandmaster Flash. My great grandmama. So, in music, it's always been this discord. And I'm very happy to be, like I said, to be invited here, because in my normal lecture or speech or vibe conversation, it's called Fight the Power, Rap, Race, Reality, and Technology, because technology is usually the thing that ties it all together anyway. But the thing about it, you know, being invited here, I was asked by my agent, like, Chuck, they want to invite you, but what's your topic gonna be? What's your topic gonna be? Well, I said it's a blues symposium. I can talk about anything, because I have to talk about the fact that the blues is the roots, okay? It's the roots that they say it's just the roots because it bears the fruit. But the fact that when I talk about rap, race, reality, and technology, if I'm talking about rap is understanding that it comes from the knowledge of the records. And what I was trying to say on the panel yesterday, you know, rap music is not even a music, it's a vocal on top of musics, and the musics have already been defined. Whether it be blues, whether it be jazz, whether it be folk, whether it be reggae, whether it be country even. And I tell people it's all a synonymous line. I wear all black today because people say, well, damn, you trying to be like Johnny Cash? I said, no, Johnny was the man in black. I'm the blackened man. All the same, it's just music. The music don't lie. People that say, well, I don't know anything about black history. You don't know anything about black history because you look at the TV for it. You listen to radio for it. Even when you listen to black radio, there's no such thing as black radio anymore because these urban conglomerates trying to always sell something, trying to sell people something. You can't sell everything. Matter of fact, you can't sell people themselves, although people will go out and spend a lot of money to buy themselves because they feel they don't have themselves. But you know, history should be automatically just given. It shouldn't be sold to you. And one thing, if you check out black people's music, you get the history by default. You get the history anyway. Because once upon a time, black people couldn't tell our history so freely. We couldn't speak so freely. So it came out in that one chord, bam, or that chord up against a house down in South Fork, Mississippi, and that chord, you know, bang, and it could have been a chord of anger that the overseer or the slave master or the person that owned that plantation in 1931 might have not been able to hear. So the beautiful thing about understanding that the history is already in the music, this is the thing that brings people together for knowing more about each other than what history would allow. Like I said, the Blackhawks, 1961, a sports fan knows every single thing. Yesterday, with the great moderator, Mr. Schumann, he was just like breaking it down. And I know he comes across a lot of people who just come across it and talk, but they miss facts. You miss fact. Oh, I kind of trying to figure this out. And a lot of myth and hyperbole comes about with people trying to produce a past off of stories that get fragmented and held together. The stories are very important. Sometimes somebody who goes in there, you got to cut some myth out, and sometimes you got to put some things in, like the parallel between rap music and also the parallels between rap and blues. And yesterday, hearing everybody talk about Lil Walter was funny, because there was some people that said, well, I caught Lil Walter and he was nice to me, and some people was like, well, I caught Lil Walter, he was a fool. And then, you know, he had no gun. Okay, but, you know, guns wasn't prevalent as much. Maybe people that could afford it, and also people maybe could get away with a couple busting caps or two. But one thing I know they all had was knives. And the cat was skillful with a knife in the 50s and the 60s. But that, you know, that's where the language comes from. I cut you. You might survive a cut or a stabbing or whatever, if a person, whatever. You probably couldn't survive the gunshots, which happened to be prevalent in Chicago in the 80s and the 90s and the millennium, when so many kids are killing themselves now. But I'm going back into the music. Rap music, which I said is a vocal on top of the musics. People that understand the records. People who are DJs and you understand the records, paying homage to who? The labels and the musicians, if you're a real DJ that knows what's popping and what's happening. And if you pay attention to the musicians, and then the musicians are covered maybe in some of the magazines or the news stories, and you understand there's a story that goes along with the music that explains the music even better, and you go into that dynamic, then you understand there's the lives of the musicians, and there's a history that runs parallel with that, and you can go on and on and on and on, which makes people just understand when they start to get into it, say, you know what, I'm waiting for new music to come out. But if you really, really with music, you ain't got to wait. All you got to do is go back. And you go back further and find out that you know that there's a discovery no matter which way you go. You wait for something, you discover it, maybe. But if you go back, you know it's a discovery to yourself. Now, we can talk about Christopher Columbus, how he said he discovered America, or how people say he discovered America. How you going to discover something when somebody already been here? So your discovery of music may be, like my discovery of music maybe in the 50s or in the 40s over the last 20 years, it was like, it wasn't my discovery, but it was me being able to be open to say, damn, I heard this, and this is where it came from. the thing about rap and the thing about blues, they're a last century phenomenon of expression. I'm not being kicked across television. You know what? Rap music comes out in the early 80s. Why? You didn't see no black people hardly on TV in the 80s anyway. Especially no black men bragging about themselves. You saw black athletes, but you know, when it got time for them to talk, they took the mic away from them. So you said, oh, incredible move, okay. Okay, what do you think about the game? Well, you know, I had 3 triple-double, thank you, and take the mic away. Oh, you can sing something and, you know, soothe the audience. How much are we going to accept you yelling? Run DMC, holding on to your Johnsons. Yeah, we're coming out like this. Number one, that put the fear in America, just like maybe the blues did when somebody said, we're going to come at you like this. And we say, oh, America's like, oh, Lord, let's keep that on the plantation fields. Because these heathens got you know, a last century phenomenon, something that happened in the beginning of the century and something that closed out on the end. Now, we know the blues have been there before last century, but as far as the combination of technology and the combination of penetrating Americana, first half century phenomenon. By the time you get to 1961, which was the Blackhawks' last championship Stanley Cup. Well, hear me out. Stanley Cup 1961, what happens in the blues around that time? This renaissance period of white kids discovering this music that happened to be, wow, you know, I kind of hear skiffle at the same time. The emergence of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones a few years later, and then by 65, 66, it's a full-blown Paul Butterfield type of explosion or whatever. Wow, the blues. This same period is going on right about now in rap music, where, okay, kid born in 1989 is already a college student. Now, a lot of old heads might not believe that, but they're grown. Born in 1990, they got beards and all that old stuff, 5 old trucks and the whole nine, right? You're like, damn, 1990, man, 1990, that was like yesterday. But here they are wearing Beatles shirts. Here they are saying, oh wow, Grandmaster Flash or Run DMC, Tribe Called Quest. You're like, man, it was around before you were born. The rediscovery period is parallel to what happened in that rediscovery of the blues, where the Rolling Stones say a few years later from 61, let's bring Howlin' Wolf on. Brian Jones says, let's bring Howlin' Wolf on and let him do his thing. And then people across America are just like, oh, because the Rolling Stones coming from the UK to say, I can't believe that this comes from your backyard. You don't acknowledge it as being real music and the truth. What's up with you, America? So it took the rest of the world to look at America and say, yo, you don't say the truth, say the whole truth and nothing but the truth. This is something to be shared by all. Well, will it work? Will it sell? Well, okay. You know you already got Rolling Stones on major TV, so you know you can sell that because it's the new thing. But it took them to be able to say, let's bring the real truth up and also let America know, hey, this is the real truth. We're going through parallel periods right about now in rap music where people are like, oh yeah, you know, I know rap stuff and stuff. But the young people are coming up and saying, you know what, it's not what they're throwing me on radio and TV. It's what I'm going to discover on YouTube. I'm going to, you know, you got, every kid got another rebellious kid that don't like what they like. So they're going in to not only discover rap music at an earlier time, which is basically still the same, just a different generation. They're going into history and discovering Howlin' Wolf. You got kids walking around born in 1998 or even born in 2000 at 9, 10 years old that's discovering who Muddy Waters is because of truth. They can go through technology. So history should not be a mystery. Matter of fact, you got Chicago history of rap music that is new only because when people wait for history to be delivered to them, it doesn't get delivered the right way, so they wouldn't know that Chicago's roots. Beside Common, who during the Godfathers and Son documentary that I did with Marshall Chess. I said, you know what? I'm interested in this. Let's drag Chicago's own foundation up in here, and my man Common. We put Common in there as well, and find out him and Marshall Chess born on the same damn day, about 100 years apart. But Twister, yesterday I'm turning on Backspin on XM Sirius Radio, and I'm listening to Crucial Conflict. Spent years in Chicago, you know, always working here, working with the Nation of Islam, right there on Stony Island, also going to Cabrini Green, going to Taylor Homes, and having fundraisers to try to get people, okay, if you can't get out of the ghetto, maybe the ghetto can get out of you, because the ghetto is sold to you and drilled into you where you don't think you have a history that you don't think you could be no better. But the music don't lie, especially the music from the past that always try to speak, but trying to go to a better place and trying to be better, even if it talked about I'll cut you. Because even if they talk about I'll cut you, I got no other choice to cut you, because you on my shoulder, you on my neck, not trying to let me live. Then we gotta actually sometimes watch out for how this powers that be steer and structure the music. Like a lot of times people say today, I can't turn on the radio because I don't really, man, we're not relating to that at all. Because we let an industry come and dictate what the rap should be in order for it to sell. Now that really none of it is selling because of technology and accessibility, but people don't really know that, so they're going to continue to have big radio stations deal with big companies, and when they have a young rapper kick the stuff, they're going to kick a lot of stuff that they think they know, but they really can't relate to because they ain't really that cat. But who's to say that they're not when it comes down to money? So that's why a lot of older people are scared off of rap, saying, oh man, there's a different type of rap. When I came up in the day, I don't know what they're talking about now. You got to take time to listen to it. But I would tell you this, is that most of the people on the radio station today in commercial rap music, they really seriously don't believe what they say. But they feel in order to keep their recording contract, in order to maybe be kind of like flashed out with some bling, they got to do what keeps them on. And this is a tragedy in itself. Different from sometimes maybe way back in the blues when Alan Lomax was going around Mississippi and, you know, with a recorder and people looking like, what the hell is that? And then people giving you stories that, hey, they might have put some myth in it, like I'm this and devil's son-in-law and all that. But there was some truth to the matter of the feeling and the sentiment of trying to figure out how to climb up out of those territories. We're talking about the same century, the same disenfranchised demographic of the young black male, and how you scream to get out of where you at, trying to find yourself in the wilderness of North America. Heard the talk about Lil Walter yesterday. It was really funny because I'm the first guy to put Tupac on his first world tour. Tupac, everybody goes, oh, Tupac. And, you know, he was like a little, I mean, him, Tretch, we put a lot of people on their first tours. Queen Latifah. And Pac was 198% passionate. 199% passionate. You had to prevent him to get into a fight. He always needed that voice to say, Pac, slow down. And then by the mid-90s, when he became an artist of his own, you know, people could say what they want, but there was times where sometimes I would run into Tupac and I'd look him in the face, I'm like, dude, ain't fame what you asked for? Why you wilding out? So you got some people that tell you some Tupac stories, but we know the real stories too, and should the real story be told as well. So that's why this guy out of here, Lil Walter, yesterday, but Mr. Summerlin said, man, he's wild. A wild boy, I don't care what you say. You know, he might have been cool with you on that 1 or 2 days, but I know. Just seeing Mr. Howland Wolf's daughters yesterday, I said, one thing you have to praise the people that are able to document the histories and keep it from being mythology. Mythology is cool when you have people with skill like griots back in the day and they had nothing else and they're bringing word by word. They ain't missing a drop of rice. They bringing everything to you succinctly. The story being told, maybe a little bit of yeast in it, but you know, a story being told and you like, yeah, I got it. But with all this technology, it allows a person to be lazy. Allows an environment or a society to be lazy. And so, you know, the beautiful thing about it, you know, at the same time, is that hearing those stories and also knowing the stories in rap and knowing the similarities and knowing that these documents are out there and also accessible. Like I said, YouTube, Facebook has so many views and people are taking things and showing them out there. There's no excuse not to know the history right now. There's no excuse not to know the history of rap music. There's no excuse not to know the history of blues, especially now, jazz and all the other things that they've categorized. So we should all be better and skillful at it, and maybe we hope that it penetrates educational systems. I would hope for that. The films that have been put out about the blues. Well, how else are you going to introduce something to somebody who's 13 years old who thinks Eminem is old school? Yeah, maybe Beyonce's fine self needs to be at a James and a movie, and start with that. Electric Mud is what got me into the blues. Now, you know, I'm from New York. And when you study migration of black people, in order to get away from Jim Crow, we didn't look east and west until, you know, you talk about people out in Oklahoma who probably went west, or Texas went west. Usually, from the Mississippi on back, Jim Crow there, go north. Don't look this way, don't look that way, get the hell out of here. The same way that they're treating the Latino people in Arizona. 100,000 Latino people have left the state of Arizona since 2007. Because they know that the Lord is the Gestapo, and they breaking the hell on out. Because they can't even answer with their voices. Black people couldn't answer Jim Crow with an equal voice, so I'm breaking off. But the demographics of black migration, or I should say the story of black migration, is a large part of how the music traveled. I'm from New York. My grandparents on both sides come from North Carolina. They didn't go west, they went up what's considered Interstate 95. People that caught drama and hell from Jim Crow down in Mississippi and Louisiana said, you know what, we're not looking west, we ain't looking east. We're going straight up this Mississippi River and going north, which is later on 65 from Alabama, 55, and also 45 from Texas to go north. The migration of just, all you gotta do is follow the Eisenhower interstate system. And when you follow that, you say whatever roads that go north, those are roads that black folks did, be it by train, be it by car, be it by boat even, raft or whatever. That's why, you know, I tell people all the time, I said all of this makes sense. They call New Orleans the home of the blues. The next home of the blues is up the river in Memphis. The next home of the blues is St. Louis. And the home of the electric blues is Chicago. That's a northern migration to get the hell away from Jim Crow. And of course, the music and the stories are going along with it. The migration going to New York is from North Carolina, Virginia, you know, Pennsylvania, DC area, up the coastline. That's why it's hard for a lot of people in New York to relate to so much blues in Chicago, because our travel lines are different from our people. If I had no family in Chicago, you know, I don't know nothing about Chicago. I don't know nothing about Chicago, Mississippi, Louisiana, unless I get the information from somebody else. But we the same people, but maybe further back. As far as coming to America as slaves, we split up and our migrations are different. So a lot of things I was jumping off in Chicago blues, you know, the migration of people made that pop off in Chicago in a different way, where maybe New Yorkers could not relate as much, because in New York it's immigration. New York's a port city. What started rap was the whole thing of what's the Mississippi of rap music? Jamaica. It starts from the DJs and the toasters, how the DJ and the rap music came aboard, because rap music is not a music, it's rap on top of music, which is basically a vocalization on top of recorded sounds and records. So the Mississippi of rap music is Jamaica in the Caribbean, because the port allowed the mixture of people who immigrated their families up the coastline and people from the Caribbean. So that's where rap starts, out of that mixture of disenfranchised people saying something that appears to be nothing, out of maybe, yeah, I got records laying around, but you know what, they cut the music educational programs in the school system, so what we're going to do, we're going to come out and make something out of nothing, hook these old turntables that's thrown out, and play these old records and make something out of that. Same way that somebody was on a farm playing chords on the side of a crib. So in the same century, the innovations of not being able to talk, and you notice how I said it like a New Yorker, talk. People like, say that again, say, I like the way y'all talk. Say that again, say talk and walk. The first time I was traveling to Chicago, I was amazed. I seen so many black people. I'm like, I'm from New York, I understand. You ain't got somebody, you only, back in the later parts of last century, the only thing that tied you together was Jet and Ebony magazine. And Jet and Ebony magazine, and Good Times, and Soul Train. That's the black folks. We already knew how white folks live, because all you gotta do is turn on the Brady Bunch and turn on, you know, wow, television, the window to the rest of the country and the world. So, yeah, we understand that. How black people live? Well, you turn on this Good Times, and I'm looking at Cabrini Green, and I'm like, I don't want to hang out in Chicago. Muscatel and all that stuff. Turn on another thing, you know, turn on Starsky and Hutch, and they had Huggy Bear, and they said, filmed in Los Angeles. I'm looking at Huggy Bear, I'm like, I definitely ain't going there. And they'll show you Soul Train, and they got the dancers. I'm like, yeah, I want to go to LA. They got it popping there. So we always was able to try to figure out where black life is at. And black life is very, you know, it's being squeezed out through a small portal on TV. The only thing else you had is the magic, maybe through the records. You know, all right, you know, I can't see the records, no such thing as video, unless they show up on Soul Train or get lucky to show up on American Bandstand. I know damn well they ain't gonna show up at Ed Sullivan. And you ain't gonna get their career, but nothing, you just gonna see them. So it was like, you had to imagine. But the thing is that there was no reason to understand what's going on in Chicago. So rap music started with its own understanding of itself in New York, and really was stuck on itself. Chicago blues, boom. Here's Chicago blues. How much you gonna attach this back to Mississippi? I ain't trying to hear about no Mississippi, Louisiana no more. This Chicago blues, we up here, and my people in them back there, if they lucky they can come up here as long as they don't ask me for some money. I'm gonna wind this up in like 5 minutes. You know, you understand that the parallels, that the music just don't lie. How do you explain the 17-year-old kid that's wearing a Beatles shirt right now? What's making that kid pay homage? Yeah, it's some programming, because there's enough history that's being backed up and pushed out there. And it's like, you know, the kid's like, you know, I gotta try to find something. Maybe I can find myself. This is my thing I'm gonna hold on to. What's making the 20-year-old person go to a 85,000 packed Soldier Field full of the Rolling Stones, and when Keith Richards plays and people are and this song was, I'm going on 50, and I was 4 years old, 5 years old. Now, yeah, come on now. Somebody there, I'm looking at somebody that's 22 years old, it's like, well, what the hell are they doing here? There's some kind of reason. So when it comes down to the blues and the documentaries, necessary to spread around, keep kicking around, trying not to have a company put a cease and desist to keep you from kicking the story. Well, we own that. You can't own the history as much as you think you own the history, regardless of what lawyers and accountants and say. You can't own it, but you gotta be able to push it out there and keep pushing out there, get what you can get, and make sure at the end of the day, maybe you can help out the families. Maybe there could be something where you could contribute to the families, or something like that. You know, yesterday hearing Mr. Wolf's daughters talk about, well, we have a museum set up, but it ain't much to go around. And I tell my wife all the time, who calls me sometimes a hoarding pack rat. I'm like, I'm trying to keep everything. If I gotta build another house in the back, then that's where I'm keeping it. Little notes. When Ronald Reagan and all those presidents passed away, they take every little note and they document it. It ain't like I got things, I'm kicking myself because I can't find the Fighting Power lyrics I scribbled down. But historical fact is very important to be documented, whether people are taking pictures, shooting film, interviewing. Yesterday's panel was something to keep, not just to keep for yourself, but keep frozen, but to be able to take this and push it out to the world at a very high rate and let everybody know this is real. These are the real stories. People kind of will come and they will pass on. The documentation has to be backed up, has to be respected, and that can only be done by people who know and also young energy. So it's important for young people to match the energy with the know-how, and the know-how has to come from people who are not afraid to say that they're old. Best line I ever heard was in this movie with Big Daddy Kane. It was like Posse, or one of those Western movies with Mario Van Peebles and Big Daddy Kane. And it also had Melvin Van Peebles in it, and they was in the scene. And Mario was not trusted his dad, who was also his dad in the film. And he said, will it work? He said, trust me. He said, trust me, man. Because you know what? I've been your age, you ain't never been mine. So, the immigration and the migration of rap, and also the migration of Chicago blues. You can go on and go into it further than what I could tell you at a lecture. It's all there. It goes beyond what you could give in a 45 or maybe 43-minute talk. You know? And you know, there's determining factors that make somebody say, break north, get up out of here. But take your story with you. Take your music and take your method along with you. You know? A couple other points I like to say that I have to give a round of applause to the performance performing that. I mean, and this is something where I truly, truly say you have to fight against things like what's going on by big companies, is that they incorporate ageism so they can continue to make everything seem new. That's really old, so they can sell it to you over and over again and you not notice. See, it behooves a corporation to make history forgotten. And you have to be able to fight that off as a collective society. You have to. Because at the bottom of all this is like, oh yeah, black people, they're wonderful. We got a black president, it's fantastic and all this, but you know, but it's not within any context. I remember very clearly when Jesse Jackson was going up against all the odds in '84. Or I remember even as a little kid that Dick Gregory ran in 1968. You can't say that it comes out of nowhere. Something always comes from somewhere. So for people to be amazed, Shirley Chisholm, 1972, Shirley Chisholm. I was there. She was in New York too. I'm 12 years old. I ain't stupid. I'm like, oh, this lady, okay, get solid. Wasn't all about good times. But you have to fight for history and not let history be a mystery. I would say that in this university, it was wonderful to see a school that I went to a school that similar size, you know, liberal arts programs, and it was very important for us to take. And I built a part of rap history from the college I went to. The name of the college was Adelphi, 4 miles from home. You know, many times I was caught walking that 4 miles. The last bus would leave out, and that was my town. But, you know, people who are clear journalists are very important to be able to take their story, freeze it, and then thaw it out to a new mass. Because if you don't do that, then you allow people's hype and myth and lies to come in, and then some people want to lie and myth it out so they can get paid off of it. Yesterday I was also hearing the story about, it's the understood sentiment. Well, they did the movie for money. There's not a movie that goes out there where they don't do it for money because they have to have money to put it together. What we hope is that technology will allow people to make movies far less expensive than what it is, and then not to rely on television, or maybe to rely on, maybe government can actually help out, says, you know what, we will support public television, even more so, we will support an arts television, we will support, since the whole country is now cable, you would expect that there will be things that are dedicated to the arts and real music, and I should say real music, it's all real, but real dedication to the arts, as opposed to being something that's just like, well, you need a lot of money to get this story told. Can't do it the kind of old bootleg way. You gotta kind of like say, how many professionals can we get? How many film students can we get? How many people that really know how to take the story and make this go out to like 10 million Facebook users? That's something they want to grab a hold on. That's the line between the old and the young that needs to take place outside of the realm of the music. The comparison between rap and the blues, understand technology and commerce had met, and when technology and commerce had met, usually the people who were the artists didn't know the technology or the commerce or commercial side. All they knew was the ability to create the content. To tie those three things together is where we're at right now. As back then, it's like, okay, you got somebody who know how to play the blues, but you know what? Leonard Chess got the recording studio, and then they got distribution, and then they got, a way that they got radio stations out there. All I know is I'm a poor black man from Tennessee. I just came up north, up Highway, 61. Hey, I'm just trying to figure this out. All I know how to do is play. The combination of knowing the technology, the commerce, and the ability to create the content is necessary for everybody. You have people who are kind of fully faceted in a lot of different areas. I tell young people all the time, young rappers, I said, number one, talk what you know. Say something that'll last a long period of time. Just don't say something that you think is going to make you money just because it sounds interesting, you could trick some kids. Say something down to your core. And the more artists that I can convince to say something down to their core, what they really think and what they believe, then they know it ain't based on money, it's based on their spirit, and their spirit will carry their art through for the test of time if they really want to do it. So those are my discussions. How do I bring Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and Little Walter into the conversations of what they want to do in their musicality today? And so therefore the films help. The films do help because I'm able to make analogies. I mean, how many young people for the first time in their life really knew who Ray Charles was until Ray comes out, and then later on when Kanye West does, Gold Digger, I mean, all of a sudden they're hearing, I Had a Woman from 1954 and 1955, and young people, when they hear that song by Ray Charles, they're like, yeah, I feel it, the same feeling, the same arrangements. And then the movie comes out and it even builds up on the fact of giving people history they should have had in the first place. Separating connecting their parents, their grandparents, and them, I have to say and them, and making everybody have a conversation at the virtual dinner table of Ray Charles, good or bad, and Kanye West, fellow Chicago. So it's very, very important to understand that although it's a century, last century, 100 years of the realm of time is not long at all. Matter of fact, it's quick, it's on a flash. The first decade of the millennium is over. So people who are still stuck in 1991 or 1962 or 1957 or 1999, it's all, it's still all relative. You got to be in the present, but the best time sometimes to be in the future is also to understand what happened in the context of the past. And so this is where rap and the blues and everything else that came in the 20th century comes along with it. I say respect your elders, because your elders have a story. Once they move on, if they didn't pass it along and stuck with them, it's gone forever. And so many people will get to, hey, you know, even go to your own family reunion. Go there with that camera and get grandma and them's conversation. My great-grandmother passed away in 1998 at the age of 100, and I remember like yesterday, I was very happy that I was able to sit down with her and say, Grandma Moore, why you moved to Harlem from Rockingham, North Carolina? And she just gave me a 20-minute story that just cleared me up. I was like, wow. Now with all this stuff, the technology we got today, you go out there and get a flip camera, $100, high definition, $100. Shoot it, learn how to cut with it, put your family together in some kind of a period, you know. Believe me, the technology, Prince said it best. I'll say this as my final note before I do some Q&A. Prince, the artist named Prince. He's not calling himself formally as. He's like, yo, step up with me, step up with me. That was back. He said, be on top of technology, or else technology will be on top of you. And that has been some of the things that have hampered rap music and blues, is that always quick to create the content, and not been on top of the technology. We've been in awe of the technology, amazed at the technology, and then when you finally get a hold and a grip on it, it's already moved on to the next technology, and it's a little bit too late for you to make a business out of it. So now, the access that we have now, we cannot let history just be something that's just off the top of your head like a freestyle. It's got to be the real deal, and the documentation is very important. Last comment about the blues. It's all there. The recordings are there. I feel fresh when I'm driving a long distance. I play Moaning at Midnight to get me started on the road, because I think about, you know, more than the music or Howlin' Wolf. I think about all them trips from like, wow, you know, you had to travel up. You didn't have a smooth road. What kind of car he had, and, you know, and what did he play, and what kept his time while he's playing, you know. I mean, he's coming up the road, you know, and then going down. He's got, well, they're road trips. What's going on with 4 in the car, or 3 in the car, and you know, what kind of zones are you? Oh man, oh boy. I mean, because today, even in 2000, I drive throughout this country and the world. I've been in 70 countries. I drive. Me and my wife just driving through the whole southern coast of South Africa. And even today in the United States, you know, I'm driving, you know, rent a car, whatever, you know, sounds loud, it's banging and whatever, cop car, oh shit. Howlin' Wolf driving in 1957, going from Louisiana, Mississippi, or maybe to Arkansas, and driving up to Chicago. You see it, what brings out that, oh shit, probably a lot. So that's what I think about. So Moaning at Midnight gets my road thing started. Yeah, I got Moaning at Midnight, and I'm popping up with some KRS-One. I got a crazy mix of them. When people ask me, what are you listening to today? I said, I got 15,000 songs on my iPod. What am I listening to? What's my top 10? I got 15,000 songs. What, you want top 10 today? I have 4 songs by Solomon Burke, and another 4 by, you know, Gladys Knight, and another 4 by, you know, maybe, you know, Nice and Smooth. What you listening to today? Who you like today? Is it Soulja Boy? Not necessarily, but you know what? I do a radio show with rap, so I'm playing people you ain't even heard of. There's 9 million artists on MySpace. I'm playing artists from like that, or who else you playing brand new? I'm Brother Ali right here. You know what I mean? Oh, how about a group? You know, yeah, okay, you know what? You know, well, I could go, the Slaughterhouse guys, you know, I could go on and talk about music until you're tired. Until you're like, all right, I don't even know. So, my email I can give out right now, because everybody now has email. I'm one of those guys that, you know, when people say, well, Chuck, man, how I get in touch with you? I say, number one, you can Google me. I've been speaking in colleges and universities and places for the last 20 years. And the thing, 10 years ago, when I said email, it was like, I ain't got no computer. I said, you got cable now, don't you? Yeah. I remember 10 years ago, you had cable. Yeah, but I don't know about the computers, man. And then people want to tell you, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying, man? Big brother, the Illuminati, man. He want to give you all kinds. Yo, man, let me see. Let me break down $1 for you, man. You see these bushes right here? It's called too much knowledge out of season. But Chuck D at publicenemy.com. I'm going to say it twice. And if you can't remember that, then you don't know who I am. You don't need to have it. Find a friend and say, what did he say? Chuck D at publicenemy.com. I read it. I read every single mail. I answer them slow. But it's part of the connectivity that we live in today, that we have to be able to manage and yet master, instead of being in awe, like, okay, it's in front of me, I don't know what to do. My mother loves being online now. She's 71 years old, and I say, you know what? Sure enough, I could dig you being online all day and night, because I definitely don't want you up there popping the club. My daughter just graduated from Clark University, and I made a rule a long time ago. I said, when my daughter turns partying age, no club for me. But I already stopped that 10 years before she even got out of school. But I'm up there, I'm up in the club, and I'm like seeing my kid. I'm like, it's all right to mix the old and the young, but you know, they got their spots and need to be in their spot. Your old ass in your spot. That's what, you know, young collegians are, you know, they conflicted. They go to the club, y'all see some old ass person with gray in their beard, talking about, yeah, this kid popping an old, big old FUBU shirt. Doing the WAP, trying to do the Soldier Boy, which is still 2 years old. And they don't know that they old. It's not that you old, you too old being up in, you know. It's one thing to talk and kick it and, you know, fly with it, but you know, you have to also be able to say, yo, I'm not from your age category. I'll let you know the deal, and I'm gonna move on. I know you're fine, but I gotta move on. Blues and rap, I laid it to you like that. Any Q&A? Maybe Dr. Bell can ask me a couple questions.
Well, I wanted to...
Oh, that's looking to me, I'll catch you. Y'all still clap if I dropped it? We could talk, yeah, okay, we talk serious all we want. When I came over the stage, I slipped and fell right there. I know you would have laughed. Oh no, he's going to say something very important. You can't laugh.
Well, why don't we're going to give him 2 hands. Why don't we just give him, let's give him hands.
Don't clap for me, clap for the blues. Clap for the blues. This is our salute as something that's necessary, not just in Chicago, but Chicago is the center point of the whole planet when it comes down to this music. We all know the story of Electric Blues. You got to get amplified in the club, because the club you packed is loud. You got to get something louder than that. Technology comes along and says, we're going to make this electrified. Well, the same thing with rap music and hip hop. It says, you know what? These turntables, we got to get digital turntables. We got to get, you know, these super sound systems. It's kind of worked in reverse, because now when young people go to the club, y'all can't say nothing. So y'all got to go on the club based on looks, like, ooh, he look cute. He like, damn, she's fine. She's high to dress, though. Yeah, all right, she's popping. You know, and then they don't say nothing to each other. They just look at each other. Take you to breakfast. And they sit in the car. They're in the parking lot, not saying nothing. So, what's popping? Hey, shit. Man, so you ain't got nothing to say? They got phone call conversations, they ain't got nothing to say. And they texting like, da-da-da-da-da, with 1 million misspelled words. Then when they see each other, they ain't got nothing to say. So you know what you doing. They talk with like their cars and stuff like that. Like, you know, they sit in front of a flying car, he talking. You know, it's like, no, you got to So this generation is not used to looking people in the eye or people looking them in the eye and talking. So that's what the older generation can kind of like teach them what to do. And you can't be afraid of younger people just because they like, you don't try to be hip for them because you already old. Don't try to be hip. They ain't trying to be their peer. I tell my daughter all the time, like, my daughters, seriously, just, you know, do they listen to my music? No, it'll be redundant. They'll know it later, they know it now. I mean, my youngest 17, my oldest 22, because they know that they see people always coming and they see like people, they think, oh wow, that's Jay-Z, you know, all that stuff. Like, so, you know, they know that, but it's kind of like, I ain't listening to that. And then when they hear their friends start to play more of my music, and like, as the older they get, like my oldest daughter just graduated out of college, so when she starts hearing people, her friends start, she's like, Daddy, yeah, wow, okay. So that respect starts to come, and not that I want it, because I want the respect, like, no, I'm your daddy, I ain't your friend. I got two daughters too, so when I saw the documentary, I was like, wow. So I always kind of put myself in like thinking like, okay, wow, okay. Number one is that, yep, I'm gonna be a daddy, I'm always gonna be right. You know. I also talked to Gina Barge, who her father's the great Gene Barge, and like, so that helped me out in the raising of my daughters, and you know, so nah, you can't be a friend like that. Like, no, I'm your daddy. This music, I would tell them, I say, you want to do music, you can go to music school, learn how to play an instrument. You can't just all of a sudden want to sing and stuff. Everybody think they can sing. Rap. Everybody think they can rap. I say, I tell people, I say, you ain't got no vocabulary. Learn that. Get an English major and then come out and do it for a long time. You want to do it for a minute. I mean, anybody can do it for a second. But you want to do it and go to places like Spain and Australia and Asia and come back with a lot of money. You better know. You better know. And so this is a serious thing. But also within the seriousness is human. So I didn't even, you know, go into that area, but I just want to tell you that whole electric blues and making the crowd loud, it has gone the other way. The club is so loud now, it's like you can't, you know, it's only the music and people only can see each other. It has eliminated the conversation. And the conversation is there. It's in text form. So the journalists have to be able to decipher the text in the blogs and try to figure out what's in that mythology to pull out the truth. Q. Any Q? Any questions? Yes, sir. You'll be going to the Chicago concert we'll be playing in a couple weeks at the Congress Theater.
I guess my question is, are you worried about the corporatization of music, both blues and hip-hop? I mean, you mentioned XM, and you mentioned what predominantly is played on XM, especially if you look at the XM blues station, and you look at what's on sort of the XM, not the Baskin station, but you look at what the contemporary hip-hop station is dominated by these sort of corporate pop voices, and that seems to be where the direction of the music is going in both genres in terms of pop. I mean, what's the impact of that? I mean, I don't mean to quote you, but you even said on Getting Trained Mental Rant for Corporate President, and that's what it feels like when you're listening to where the major outlets are. And even, and then the two other pieces too, you look at Facebook and you look at YouTube, they're being owned by these corporations, they're being co-opted. So where do we go from there?
Oh, very, very interesting. You brought up paying mental rent to corporate presidents. That's what we do in the United States of America. Now we know that you gotta pay the piper. For instance, like catfish, you know, eat a piece of the catfish, throw the bones away. You got to be able to, with the thing that's out there, you got to be able to say, how do I go and live my life in this society and pick out the good and try to throw the trash in a good green receptacle. And not be like BP. You know, that's very important because, I mean, look, corporations everywhere you look in this country, it's a country full of maybe some played out capitalistic program that's got to revise itself. I'm not even going to get in that conversation. But I know the truth. The truth is, I don't like paying my phone bill on a cell phone. No, I need it. Try not paying your cell phone. They're the quickest to cut off your hair, right? It's like, damn, I just got late one day. Well, sir, go call customer service. I got a complaint. Well, we're going to put your complaint in the Negro file. So. The best thing that you get your cell phone back on is paying in full. And they're nasty with it. But you know what? That's, try doing without a cell phone living in a couple of places.
Okay, we have time just for one more question. This lady already has dibs on it.
Oh, I'm going to get kicked out.
No, I ain't gonna let nobody touch you. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
My name is Sharon Lewis, and I'm one of Chicago's badass blues divas, just that simple. Yes, sir. Can I get a witness?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that lady. But that's all right, But anyway, very inspiring. A lot of information in your talk. But being on this side of the fence, being on the blues side of the fence in this music, please.
Nah, it's just a matter. It's been a habit for so long.
I understand. I'm a couple of years older than you. Come on.
Considering the word, I tell people all the time. I call people sir.
That's a southern upbringing. That's the southern roots. I know because I say yes ma'am, no sir all the time.
Yes.
But don't do that today. Okay, but seriously.
Considering the words that's being thrown around about people,
I know.
the N word and the B word,
I know.
I know. Yes,
and they're on my man about kicking ass. What they want him to do, okay? But okay, my point is, being on this side, I mean, I look at, and I have some sons who are into rap and everything, and they're trying to self-promote and that kind of thing. And on the same token, as a blues artist, I'm doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I look at rap artists, hip-hop artists, I mean, the house guys that grew up downstairs in the building where I live, Ron Hardy and all the people.
Mm-hmm.
They can make, rap artists can make one song or one CD and sit down for a lifetime. Here's Paul B.B. King, who's on the road 350, 360 days a year. Same thing with me. I got a day job when I'm trying to do this thing that I love, but I refuse to be a starving artist. I just got used to that roof and that food, you know what I'm saying? and I like driving the car, you see what I'm saying? But I got to work at a job to do what I do.
Yep.
And I don't understand how, even though we are marketable, ain't we wrong? You heard this, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's my bass player sitting there. We are marketable. We have the skills to entertain. We are talented in a lot of ways. But we can't make what y'all make. What is that about?
You want me to give you a quick answer?
Yeah.
Or you want the long?
Whatever.
Truth is between the two.
Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Number one, when you say y'all, how many rap artists out here? There are 10 million rap artists on MySpace and 9,999,999 better get a job. All right? Now, when I tell you if I'm able to go to Spain, I was the first rap artist to actually come out in 1987 when I got my passport. And as people became staying in the United States, go to this city. I want to actually had the attitude of I made a record now I want to sit. We hit the road internationally. Everywhere we went in the world. Back we got sleeping on a bus in Norway in the wintertime. No, sleeping on a bus that ain't running in Norway in the wintertime. Let me give you a story. For a rap group, it was groundbreaking to break those grounds up and plant seeds on what relatively was a new music. 25 years later, and also going there and hammering a show. I mean, where they used to seeing people do 20 minutes, we get in 3 hours. So, do that 25 years ago, it marinates and grows into fruit. Now, that was the method that we taught artists, like, don't stay in the United States. Most of them chose to stay in the United States because they didn't know no better. A lot of them from New York in the beginning. So if you thought that they were getting paid, it wasn't the ones getting paid. The people that own the record companies were getting paid. Your promoters will be the ones, and understand this, a promoter will tell you what, Bobby Rush told me this. Bobby Rush said, you know what, you know the thing about promoter, check it out. The promoter said, you get paid no $1, he said, you don't get paid $1 more than what you're worth. I'm like, oh yeah, so if you worth 10 and you work bringing $10, then you should get paid $10. A promoter will tell you that, you know what, their game is the game of bringing people through the door and then paying. I'm saying that the area of promoters, you know, sometimes that game should not just be there as exclusively. And you know what, if B.B. King is on the road 300 days out of the year, it's because he wants and he likes and he has to do it because he wants to. You figure you don't want it? What's B.B. King gonna do? Gonna stay home? I don't like to stay home like that. I like to say, you know what, the best thing about music is performance art. And if art can't perform, then it got a problem. That's been the problem with rap music. Rap music has turned into something where people think it's I make the music, I'm gonna get money, I'm gonna stay home, and I'm gonna show off in the club instead of performing. And 99.99.99%, if such a number, right? It's mythology if you think they're getting money. Now, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, my whole point, give me my point.
No, I'm not, you see, you did just what I hear. I just came off of two. I thought they cut me off. I just came off the 2-week tour. Okay, you got it. But my point is, you did just what I hear all the time. When people think about the blues, first thing they think of is B.B. King.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you said
B.B. King. I did, but the first thing they think of is B.B. King.
Right.
But there are a lot more talented artists other than that, just like in rap.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, even B.B. King don't make the money the rappers make.
But there's about 30 of them in a room that probably make that money that B.B. King never made. But one thing B.B. King has new audiences coming to him every second that will support him even after he passes on and support his music. Now, how much of his family is getting that support, that music money, or how much the legacy of it is debatable and up to the legacy of the family. But I will tell you this, and just to close it down really quick on that, because I know I'm being chased on this, is that, you know, I don't know what rap, you talk about Kanye West playing in the stadium, that's pop music. That's when a rapper crosses over into the pop world like Jay-Z, and you read the stories like they're worth $360 million. And you know, my thing is like this, I like to work, and I'm gonna make sure everybody around me like to work, and then you know what, when they come home after that 2 weeks, they better go get a job. That's real, because they like to have the roof over their head, and they like to have their refrigerator full. And how do you think that a crew of 14 people are gonna have that? You're gonna come off with the music? No. So don't think that the rap is, if rap is any different, it's only because what you have is you have a demographic that is cycling itself, where now you have a person who might be in their 40s and 30s now having expendable income to fill up a house of blues with somebody who might have recorded 25, 15 years ago. Where when you sometimes do blues, the older demographic might, I'm not saying that they pass on, but they might be like, yo, I'm 66 years old. I ain't going to no club. I want to stay at the crib. I might do that, what they call pay for you. But I ain't going out. And that's probably the difference, is that you got to rely on a demographic of somewhere between the ages of 20 and 50 to be able to just come out on a regular basis, and maybe they would. If the demographic of 50 on to like 80, it'll be like, you know what, I'm chilling at the crib, I'm tired. And that's the biggest thing. But their money has to come through different ways, and sometimes maybe, like to answer your question, it comes to an area saying, you know what, I got an XM Sirius subscription, and then when you talk about those stations, it's up to the pressures of the genres, it's up to the pressures of the people who really love the genre to put pressure on those structures to make sure that they're accountable in the playing of the music and the information about the music, and you know, and try to do the best possible. I mean, quickly, just saying, when I turn on XM Sirius and I'm traveling, it beats the hell out of these corny other radio stations. And when I turn it on, if I'm going to listen to any country, I'm going to trust Willie Nelson's judgment, or at least the people around that. If I want to listen to some bluegrass, I'm going to go through there as a portal. I'm not saying they're going to be experts. If I'm going to go through Bluesville, and if people say, well, you know, Bluesville, it ain't the real thing, then I expect that demographic to be able to put pressure on that structure so they could be more accountable to the blues. Because when I'm being from the rap old school area, when I turn on Backspin, I'm like, hell yeah, they're doing it right. Sorry, I mean, I got no beefs. I started a portal called hiphopgods.com. It's the super site in the network where classic rap lives on. We're finishing up our radio component. You know, the visual television component is done, it's popping. The radio component, I want to get it to be just like Backspin. Matter of fact, if I could get a feed from them and play Backspin as our radio component, which Sirius XM does not want to do because they're corporate accountants looking at sheets. They don't know nothing about the damn music. I got to figure out ways to steal it. I do, to play it and get it out there and be accountable for it, and eventually get some of the artists to get paid on the long run.
Folks, give it up for him.